Yawn emoji.
Hello again, PogChamp. I'm getting right into the video today. I made a mistake, starting with the body. I think you could probably take a guess as to why that is a mistake.
It'll look less like a turd, I promise.
And less like a turd it did look. I am a man of my word. I have a good selection of oranges and reds and blues, which gave me the freedom that I needed to make this fella super colorful. For reference, this is what they look like in real life. Also, you know how I said this video is super old? Well, this is literally at my ex's Texas house when I lived in Texas with him for like a year and a half. And if I had it unmuted, you could hear me talking about old YouTube drama with him. Like, that is actually so wild to think about. So much time has passed, and yet these are things that at the time didn't have developments. But now we see the entire story and how it plays out. It feels a little bit surreal to me. And of course, I'm being vague on purpose. Anyway, back in the Texas house, I actually had natural lighting because I didn't live in a basement. And even though before me, my ex had never opened the window, I finagled it and made the window openable. And for about 2 hours every day, the sun would be right in my face. Also, just in case, I'm sorry that you can hear that little like gravelly tone to my voice every so often. It's literally because I am experiencing GERD right now. I took a tablet, but I'm waiting for it to kick in. But back to the drawing. Both during this day and while I was editing, I was getting a little bored of the monotony of just watching myself draw. I may have also been saying that because the lighting wasn't as good, but sometimes you hyperfixate and you just want to get it done. So I think that's what I did, and I was like, I'll just color correct it in post. I didn't have to do much because I really do underestimate how amazing natural lighting is, even when it isn't at peak sunlight. Okay, now, this is a little bit niche, but do you remember when I was complaining in my last paint pen video about how I couldn't find a good dark brown? Well, I discovered that there's a dark green that works really well for what I want it to work for, and they almost do the same job. But regardless, I still have to end up mixing them with black to really get the color that I wanted. But, oh boo-hoo, who cares? It's a good color selection. I'll allow it. As you can see, here, I'm just adding the little swaggy details because that's what makes a piece look good. Honestly, I'm confused on whether I was trying to make this look more realistic or more cartoony, but it kind of came out in a semi-half and half style, I would say. Low-key, kind of look at this and I feel like I would not have the amount of patience to do that nowadays. This could also be because this was when my paint pens were brand new and now a lot of them are dried and used up. I like using my finger to mix the colors on the actual drawing. That's like the only way that I can get the color that I want. Forget bringing a brush out. I'm going to do it with my fingers. I knew there needed to be some sort of foliage. I just didn't know what species exactly, but I like the way Monstera leaves look. Is it accurate to the environment that these butterflies would live in? Oh.
Dead air, dead air, girl, talk, girl, dead air, dead air, dead air.
With that being said, it was time for the leaf. This took a surprisingly long time because I kept mixing the greens and part of me thought, wow, this would be going a lot faster if I just used regular traditional paint. However, the thing that I find is the never mind, I guess I did just start painting it. The green in this specific set of paints is a bit too blue, so I added yellow and white. And you see how much quicker it goes? Granted, there's not as much hue variation yet, but that's what using the paint pens afterwards is for. Here's a little bit of ASMR while I continue complaining about this. When it comes to traditional paint, it's really hard to get vibrant colors like this without mixing. This is so much easier, deadass. Plus, generally, anytime I use traditional paint, I don't need that much of it, and I don't like having it go to waste. But getting the color you want really uses up a lot of the white, and I find that painting with muted colors is a different type of beauty. But I was going for a different style, obviously. For the background, I made it with a mix of dark brown and black. That's right, ASMR time is over. Anyway, don't you think it makes it pop? I think so. I think it looks really good with the dark contrast of the black. Here's another case of wishing that I could just paint it, but instead I started mixing the colors with the pens and getting into the nooks and crannies of this so that I don't mess it up. Slow and steady wins the race. And that was it for this drawing. But then I looked at the blanket and I saw that there was a surprise visitor bringing me good fortune.
No freaking way, guys!
He also sold me fentanyl.